Thank you very much. I put on my special t-shirt for everyone to see. So we will talk about shit today. And we plan to launch this our wash center. We have developed it for like 3.5 years on World Toilet Day, but we decided there was so much happening on World Toilet Day, so we are doing it now in January instead. But I would take you on my journey. I have a background in software since 30 years. My first job, actually, when I was 14, was in a small wastewater plant at the school, where my father was the head janitor. So I've been into poop tanks, and I what was sometimes you have to go down because it was because the water was not flowing, and then you have to put your garments up to the neck, and sometimes it's you had like shit in your hair, yeah, so you need to shower. But take me let's go on this journey. We start in Stockholm 2019, and this is actually a cottage we have on our property in Sweden. And Sweden, where we stay, has about 27,000 islands, one of the largest archipelagos in the world. So it's very difficult to connect with traditional sewer and pipes. And we installed in 2019 a hybrid toilet. And this is actually where my journey starts in sanitation, or my second journey in sanitation. Because 2017, 2018, we had something called the way to day zero. The water in Cape Town was almost, there was no water left. So we were like the last months before this day, we had like 50 liters per person to use for showering and washing and drinking and everything. And what was happening was that you only, what they said was like, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. So people were, like not flushing, and the whole house was smelling of urine. And it wasn't very nice. My wife came up with an idea to put like shaving foam in the toilet, so you pee through the shaving foam to decrease the smell in the house. But what I did was, you see the toilet on the right side. We have it in our house in the big house in Sweden. It's a flush model, and has an average of 1 liter of flushing. It's a urine separation toilet. So we started using that, and suddenly we have like more water for showering and washing and everything. But then I bought a shower from the US, you see on the other picture, only using 2.7 liters of water, and a nozzle also from Sweden. So we were living a quite normal life, actually. And I met two of my friends at the school my boy goes to. And we said we start like a small company, like selling this on the website, and we have a reason to meet and have like a business lunch, like a management meeting. Well, we started and imported a couple of things. We got one call from a lady that was the headmaster or the manager for a school in the Eastern Cape, very, very rural. And they have 2 pit latrines that were full, so the kids were defecating around the school. And she was hoping that this flush toilet could work at their school. And I asked if they have water all the time, and no, they didn't have water all the time. And I said, the flush toilet needs water, even if it's little water, it still needs water. And she was like, oh, I was hoping this will work. And I said, like, instead of us sitting and talking over the phone, I take my tech director, and we come and visit you. And she started laughing, and she said, do you know where Coffee Bay is? And I said, yeah, I've been there before, so I know it's like far, far away from everything. And even if you take a plane to East London, it's a 6-hour drive with preferable 4x4. And the last 10 kilometers can take like 2 or even more hours to get, because sometimes you don't know if you're on the road or not. So we met them and we were chatting with them, and I said, you know, like, I have a hybrid toilet that in my cottage, and we can try it, but I don't know if it's going to work for 25 kids per toilet, because it's actually made for, you know, like families 4 to 6 people in the archipelago of Stockholm. But let's try it, and if you're not happy, you don't pay for it. That's how this started. What's happening during COVID was that I thought, you know, like all the reports that was from France and Italy in the beginning, and we have a lockdown here in South Africa, I felt like maybe this is going, you know, like really talking in our language, the shit hits the fan. So we took a repatriation flight to Sweden in June 2020 and stayed in Sweden for 8 months. And it wasn't lockdown in Sweden, but mostly people were staying home. And so I just sat down and started reading about the sanitation problem around the world. And it was fascinating. It was like one big rabbit hole. And when you're down in the rabbit hole, you look to the right, and it's a new rabbit hole. And you look to the left, it's a new rabbit hole. So it's so many things that are connected because of bad sanitation. So this is more of a macro perspective, how I start to look at the sanitation problems. And you find, for instance, in the sewage, regarding sewage, like 7% of the wastewater plants in the world that actually do like a proper job. We have here in South Africa, it's lots of wastewater plants that comes up, you know, like I think it's 20% in the last green report that do like the lowest level. And if you go to Sweden, even if they're like one of the top-notch countries in the world, they're still pushing out through wastewater, you know, like nutritions and pharma and hormones, etc. So it's actually not working very well. And using enormous amount of water and using enormous amount of energy. And then we find, you know, like when you look into the whole picture, you see, you know, like plastic, it's all over the world. And according to UN Environment, 11 million tons of plastic goes into the oceans. And the water scarcity in different parts of the world, you know, like, and especially in South Africa, there are regions that have like problems with water, to finding water. I was in a municipality some weeks ago, and they are just drilling down. So the whole community looks like a Swiss cheese because they need to get the water from the ground. And it's not very sustainable if you see in long term. And energy, you know, the wastewater plants are using enormous amount of energy. And in this country, I was talking to Michaela, just how is the schedule for load shedding? Because, you know, like today we have like 3 blackouts. They turn off the electricity for like 2.5 hours, and makes life quite complicated, especially for like manufacturers and that would need, and also, you know, like the wastewater plants, when they stand still and the water is pushing on, you know, like it's not a very good solution. I started to look into the school environment because of the school we visit and put in the toilets in Coffee Bay. And this is a couple of pictures I took when I've been around. You see the first one is a steel shed with just a hole in the ground. And if you looked at on the right side there, it's like it's not too bad actually. You have at least you have a good view and you can chat with a friend. But when I walked on it, it was like a 3-4 meter hole under, and it was some logs and rusted corrugated steel on top. Not very safe. And the other pictures they speaks for themselves, and it's in school environment and it's not very nice. If you go still on the big picture, you know, like we have one of the fanciest addresses in South Africa called Camps Bay. It's about 2,700 households. And you can find the most luxurious houses there with a beautiful view over the ocean. But when you press the button on your toilet, the shit is actually going straight out into the ocean. So I tell people the good news is it's quite cold in the water, so people don't want to swim for a long time. But I say to people, you know, if it's a cigar is floating, it's not a cigar, so keep your mouth closed when you're swimming in that water. And sometimes it smells like shit there too. What I find out during this research period, you know, like in different countries, you know, like illegal dumping, you know, like if you use like the official perfect, you know, like driving at to the wastewater plant, there are always guys can do it for half price and they dump it wherever it's like easy for them. And how this wastewater that we put into the rivers and lakes and in the ocean affects aquatic life. And I heard I was one webinar that because of the hormones in pills, for instance, start to develop like gay fishes. They have the same sex and they can't reproduce themselves. And that's, we need all the food we can get. So it's not a very good solution, actually. And I think this is the heroes of the world, especially, you know, like the ones you see on these pictures, I seen when they're fishing pit latrines, and I'm okay with, you know, like with poo and peep, and, you know, like I'm okay, but I saw a movie or a video when they're fishing up things from pit latrines, and my stomach actually turned around. And I think this is the superheroes in the world. And the bad or the sad thing is, like, they are not paid the way, the risk they take and the work they do. So this is a thing we have been working on, and I will touch base on that a little later. Also, like we talk about, you know, centralized sanitation and decentralized sanitation. This is a picture I saw when I was on the non-sewage sanitation conference in Johannesburg. And it's a Kampala in Uganda. And you see one of these honeysuckers or vacuum trucks, how they drive around to empty septic tanks or conservatory tanks. And it's lots of driving, and it's diesel, and it's not a very good way to, if we want to decrease the environmental impact we are doing on this world now. But there's lots of driving, okay? So this is, in my view, not so decentralized, actually. It's just lots of transport. When I dig into the school, I found out, you know, about, you know, like girls don't drink water because the toilets are disgusting. And when you don't drink water, you get dehydrated. And when you are dehydrated, you know, like you can't think. Well, I can't think, you know, like if I'm dehydrated. And because they don't want to pee in the schools. And several of the schools I had visited, you know, like one school was like 600-700 learners. They have about 9 pit latrines. One was with a door. The rest were like damaged. So of course you don't want to, like, you want to be in a safe place, and you want to handle it, you know, like when you do these kind of things. And we also see, you know, like several schools, you know, like they don't have drinking water, or they drink just plain rainwater. So we are working on a solution on the drinking water to have a low cost version of it, instead of like complicated technical solutions. And what I also found in my research was that menstruation management for girls in schools in Africa, when you start to get your period, most of the girls stay home during the menstruation, and they misses about 20 to 25% of their education. And we need young girls with as good as educated as possible, period. I think that's it's important. And washing hands. Most of these pit latrines don't have washing facilities, and if they have washing facilities, mostly outside the toilet. So if you have menstruation and you have an accident, you can't handle it for yourself. You have to show the whole school, or well, the kids that are around the toilets, what's going on, and it maybe looks like you're coming from a crime scene. And I think when I was in Coffee Bay the first time, because they were talking about, because it's quite young kids at that school, to have like open units, so the teachers or the staff could help the kids. And I said to Dawn, when I talked to her, I said, one of the units needs to have like a door and a basin inside. And she said, like, no, in South Africa, we put the basins outside. And I said, like, if some of the teachers have their period, and is it nice to wash yourself and do it in private? And she looked at me and said, Birger, you're strange. And I was like, how come? Well, you talk about your white middle-aged man talking about menstruation like it was normal. And I said, for God's sake, it is normal. About 50% of all the people in the world have it, or had it, or going to have it. And we were laughing, and we got feedback later on from the staff. They said it's like fantastic. They can go on the toilet and handle whatever they want to do there. So it was a good move. When you start to dig into the effects of bad sanitation, this was one of the things that strikes me hardest, is like, according to UNICEF, is 1,300 young children that dies every day. And it's like, okay, it's a lot. No, it's actually terrible. And that's one of the things that gives me energy to move on and try to do something to make the world a little bit better. We have kids that drown in pit latrines in South Africa. It's not 1,000 a day at all, but think of falling down in the black chute, like 3-4 meters, and fighting for your life, and just end your days in a latrine full of shit. And I just wanted to quick touch base on the discussion around pit latrine in the South African context, because the numbers of pit latrines is decreasing all the time. And that's the official figures, like it's only 1,661 schools that have pit latrines. But when you start to dig into it, you find that a pit latrine, if you put a ventilation pipe, a plastic pipe, and a wind turbine on the top, it disappears from the statistics. You change name on it, call it VIP. And VIP, when I read the first time, I had like a picture of like a red carpet, beautiful people with high heels. No, I'm joking. But like something nice and beautiful. But it is the same pit latrine with a pipe and a turbine. We have an expression in Sweden: if you put a lipstick on a pig, it may be prettier, but it's still a pig. And it's the same here with the pit latrines. It's, even if we put the ventilation pipe, it's a little bit better, but it's still a pit latrine. This is a rabbit hole that I never heard about, and it's no neglected tropical disease. And it was actually a university in Sweden that started talking about Ascaris. And that's the picture up there, quite beautiful actually. And it can be like 35, the female can be 35 centimeters long. And if you get, the eggs are so small, so you hardly can't see it on in a microscope. It's difficult. And there are like the hardest one to neutralize or kill when you treat shit, okay? And the female if she comes in on your hands, into your mouth, into your stomach, she can produce 200,000 eggs the first 24 hours. And people say, oh, is this real? And if you look at the figures, it's just between 807 and 1.2 billion people affected of Ascaris. And people say, I know how many people die of it. No, it's only 60,000 a year. Okay. And there are other also diseases that sanitation, if you have good sanitation and safe sanitation and you can wash your hands, you decrease the number of these kind of problems. And if you look into the pharma industry, and mebendazole, for instance, is the quite normal medication for Ascaris or worms, intestinal worms. And the side effects, you can get pain in your stomach, vomiting, and it's not a very nice medication. But the market of this medication is 124.8 million US dollar a year of one brand. And the prognosis is going to, they're going to sell more because more people are infected. And everything is back to bad sanitation. But I think one of the craziest reports I read during this research period I have in my house in Sweden was a report from University of Illinois. And they have identified between year 2000 and 2018, more than 56,000 reports about the sanitation problem. And I don't think we need more reports because, have you read one, you have read all. And it's very few difference. And I never ever walked into an industry or a business area with so well documented of the problem. It's extraordinary. And if you look into the SDG goals, and this is very interesting because the first version of the SDG was the Millennium Goals. And sanitation was there, nothing happened, doesn't happen so much. And then they changed the goals to the SDG goals. And on the sanitation part, nothing happens. Well, they say it's like we have to quadruple the investment to reach the goal for 2030. And according to the University College in London, there are synergies between sanitation and all the goals. And that's quite interesting. So now we're going into how we look at it and what we call the new generation of non-sewage sanitation. The WASH Center. And I think everyone on this call know what the WASH is for, but water sanitation and hygiene. And this how we look at it. A nice unit, both outside and inside. And this is quite fun because all the walls you see here is made of recycled plastic. You can't recycle, like toothpaste tubes with a lining of aluminium. But actually, when you do boards like this, the aluminium gives a little bit of sparkle, and so it looks nice, but perfect material to build a toilet unit. We want to create a luxurious experience using extremely little water. And regarding little water, we looked into a standard configuration here in South Africa for a school toilet. And if we have dependent on rainwater, if you think of a quite big tank of 2,700 liters, if you flush a normal toilet, you wash your hands according to the 30 seconds rule, you have about 200 to 250 visits on that tank. For a school environment, it's like 2-3 days. With the technology we're using here, on the same amount of water, you don't have 250, you don't have 500, you don't have 1,000 visits. You have about 9,000 visits and you get like even a flush and forget experience. World Toilet Day said accelerating change, and we do like Lego mechanics, building it up with the aluminum extrusions that we have developed, a very quick method. So it takes 2 days to get the structure up, and day 3, the kids can have a proper shit at the school environment. And this is fast. And it's delivering flat pack IKEA style. And as a Swede, even if I lived, like 20 years in South Africa, I'm born and raised in IKEA country, that almost everyone buys furniture in flat packs. And when you do this as a flat pack and prefab things in the factory, if you drill in a factory, you have like a proper machine to drill it straight. When you drill, like on site, you're standing more wobbly, so you can do in the factory much more precision work than compared to what you can do at site. This is one of the schools in Situlele in Eastern Cape. It's 2 units connected to each other, and they have been using it now for 2 years, almost 2 years, and it works perfectly. The Sanitation Ambassadors, the organization, is, like we do 4 things. This education, service, treatment, and installation. And the installation we touch base on, and we call them the tech teams. I studied the British workers, the British Airways luggage worker in a report. And it's quite interesting when you have like a bag of 30K, you stress the body and it affects the body in long term. But if it's below 23 kilos, the body recovers itself, according to this research. And we want females to work with this and make money. And I read Linda Gates' book about strong women, and it blew me away how, especially in Africa, when females start to make money, they're actually changing villages, they're changing communities. So we have designed a very smart technology, so we can see how much the box with poop is. So if it's a green light, it's 10 kilos, then it's fine. Or if it's 15, it's time to start thinking or changing it. And when it's 17 kilos, it's a red light and time to change it. But you still have like a period of time. So the school doesn't think about it. The ambassador come and replace the container. They check that fans working or the taps working or the things that technology we're using working. And in the school context, we is exchanging containers between 3 and 5 weeks per 25 users, depending a little bit. And in private home, for instance, is 6 to 8 weeks and even more. So it's a very efficient way when you separate the pee and poop and just work, like treat the poop. This on the left side, you see like a small shed. It's actually a dry wastewater plant. A dry wastewater plant. And on the size of 240 and 120 centimeters, we can treat 50 containers from households or schools. And that's actually equal to like 50 septic tanks. But the cost of a box compared with a septic tank, and because we don't mix pee and poop, so it's not like leaking water out in the environment. It's just concentrating, taking care of the poop and treat it. And the treatment time here with the method we have developed together with the university, it's in 20 degrees about 2 to 3 weeks. But if we put in like a heating system, so we can raise the temperature to 30 degrees, we decrease the treatment time with 50%. If you can raise the temperature to like 45 degrees, then we can treat the shit in about 48 hours. So it's in this little shed is actually a potential to grow the treatment capacity. But if it's like a town or a village of like 10,000 people and, you know, like 2,000 households, we just build a larger unit, but the same treatment method. And so it's quite cool with the dry wastewater plant, okay? Education, when you talk about to kids in schools, and I met, you know, some of these 4, 5, 6 years old, and when they understand English, I said to them, "Do you know who loves the turd?" And most kids do like, "Well, I don't like the turd." But there are some that likes the turd or actually loves the turd. And then I explained to them, you know, like the turd is full of bad guys, but it's also things in it that's yummy for the plants and the trees. So if you take away the bad guys, it's like macaroni and cheese or KFC or pizza, whatever, for the plants. And there was a project in Kenya with this method in a small scale, different from us. But they used the out from the toilet and put it around coffee bushes. And what they found out, they got much larger yields. But the coolest thing was that the quality of the beans was graded higher. So they got more money per kilo of what they're producing compared to before they use it in agriculture. So we want Poopy to swim and drink clean water. And I think everyone on this call, you know, like that's the goal for us to make the world a little bit better and take care of the water. But we, at this stage, we say back to the soil, because the soil, especially in Africa, need all the carbon it can get. And the method we use actually boosts, so it's like a proper fertilizer for agriculture or for lawn. But some people say to me, like, I don't want to put shit on my strawberries or my salad. Okay, fine. But you can put it into the soil. So you enriches the soil. You don't spread it on the strawberries, for God's sake, but you put it into the soil, because it makes the soil much more happy and better to grow. So our statement is eat, shit, grow, and repeat. And then you get like a closed circle. And if you do this all the time, okay? And this is a salad from our show and tell in Cape Town, Camp Hill Village. We have installed, this is for the farm workers. We're using Yo-Yo tank of 2,500 liter, this one. And we have like 2 toilets, 1 urinal in this unit, and the farm workers using it. And we will use the poop to grow fodder for the cows, because they have about 100 cows on this farm. And it's a super nice place, because they're taking care of mentally disabled adults. That works on the farm. They have a bakery and they have a dairy doing fantastic yogurt and cheese. Just to summarize how we see it: world-class user experience, quick building technology, effective collection and maintenance, and that you have maintenance, because that's not normal in lots of countries I've been talking to. You build something and nobody takes care of it. Safe treatment, so you take care of the problem, and closing the loop with resource recovery. So it's a complete circular sanitation value chain. There are 3, Philip Kotler, when I was studying marketing many years ago, he said there are 3 kinds of companies: those who make things happen, those watch things happen, and those who wonder what's happened. So make shit happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Berger, for that. To me, and I commend you on all the amazing work that you're doing in South Africa, trying to just change people's mindsets with the way we approach things. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to hand it over to the floor for any questions. If you feel like you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, please feel free. Yes, we have about 20 to 25 minutes for a Q&A discussion with Jen. Please feel free. I'm going to kick off. I actually have a question. I want to know, Birger, what are some of the challenges
You broke up there, so I didn't hear what you're saying. Sorry. Challenges? You asked about challenges, Michaela.
Is my internet connection not good?
No, it was breaking up there. I think, if I understand you correct, what challenges do we see in front of us?
Yeah.
Actually, I think what we put quite lots of effort into is financing, and we are a team of software guys that have financed this development we have done now, and including myself. But if we want to do impact in a big scale, it's not that one toilet there and one school there, and it needs, you know, like enormous amount of money. So we looked into, because I'm from the software industry, is like we have something called SaaS, software as a service. And that means, you know, like 15 years ago, you bought the software and then you paid for upgrades. Nowadays, you're paying a monthly fee forever. And we think if we can do the same in sanitation, you know, like you pay a monthly fees, you don't save money to buy a toilet. You get like a monthly fee, so you can start immediately. But that needs, you know, it's not like 10 millions, 20 millions, it's like 100 millions or 500 millions if you want to make, you know, like huge impact. And what we have done with our technology is design for large scale manufacturing. That's why it took quite a long time. So we can create, for instance, an ablution factory in Burkina Faso and be up and running and producing this in 2 weeks when the container arrives. And you can decentralize the manufacturing in different locations and creating job at different locations. The same with ambassadors, you know, like training people, creating local jobs in different locations. So money, big money, is the challenge if we want to change the world in sanitation.
Sure, that makes sense. Thank you for that. I saw that Scott Chan, you unmuted. If you want to ask your question, please go ahead.
Yeah, good
Okay,
evening.
we'll move
Birger,
on.
can you
Hi.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please ask your question. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, Sweden is famous for urine using as the fertilizer. So I'm wondering, Birger, how do you handle the urine in South Africa in your projects?
Yeah, what we do is like it's two way we do it. Most of the pilots we have done so far, nobody is interested in using the urine as a fertilizer, to be honest. They just want to get rid of the problem. But we are interested in using the urine. So we created a project together with a company called Sanitation 360 in Sweden and the university in Uppsala. So we got a grant of 1.6 million from Sweden. So we right now is in the middle of the project to develop a urine concentrator for rural areas. so we can take care of the urine and transform it to a high quality fertilizer. So that's where we are right now in the middle of the project, and we finish the project in July next year. So that's the long-term goal, but today we're using a French drain or soak away for the urine, because you know, like, it's the best place for urine going into the soil, not into the water. That's the biggest thing. Was that okay answer?
Thank you for that answer. We're going to move on to the next one. Scott, I hope that was clear for you. We have a question from Yana. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. She's from the WASH R&D Center. And she's asking the obvious question: what is the financing model? Do schools receive funding from the Department of Education?
No. In this pilot, there's 12 schools that's up and running, is funded by the schools themselves or from like NGOs that do like jobs in schools. And we haven't talked to the government here in South Africa. And if they are interested, they can come and knock on our door, because, you know, like, we think this is a paradigm shift in sanitation, and the tenders they put out is traditional solutions of different kinds. So they need to change their mindset, because we will not reply to a tender for pit latrines and come and say, like, we have a different solution, you know, like, because we know the market, according to World Bank, in the world is $108 billion. So even if we go for like the thinnest cut of that market, it's still like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So we launch it now in January, and people that are interested to work with us as ambassadors or tech teams or NGOs or whatever, we would love to talk to them. But we are not, you know, like, coming to someone with our hat in our lap and try to listen to this story. If you want to listen to our story, it's fine, and if you don't, that's also fine, because the market is huge. But we are a non-profit company, so we will make profit, but it's not for making like an Aston Martin collection or like a house at the French Riviera, whatever. Because I think the team that works with me, we have made money from our software business, and we just want to make the world a little bit better. But everyone that works in our organization should have like a decent salary, a normal salary, because if you don't make money and you start to get dependent of grant, I see, you know, like, the first 2-3 years you get the grants, and after 5 years, 80% of an NGO's time, according to research, are quite often spending just to chasing money. And we don't want to chase money for get food on our own table.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Thank you. Any more questions from anyone? We have about 10 minutes left. I want to ask, if people want to get involved with the sanitation ambassadors, how does one go about that if they want to be in touch and work with you?
Yeah, well, sanitationambassador.org is the website, and we're launching a new landing page in January, or you're just sending to my private Gmail address is birger.lundgren@gmail.com, or send me in WhatsApp and I will reply. Because I work with this, you know, like 8 days a week, 25 hours a day. My wife says I'm obsessed, and maybe I am, but, you know, like, every time we install at the school and we get the feedback, and you see like a little girl coming out from the first time, and you get this $1 million or $10 million smile of happiness, then you get warm, and you know that I'm a part to make the world a little bit better. And I think, in rural areas in Africa, if we can make the life that's tough from the beginning a little bit better, I think maybe when I come to Heaven's Gate, they look in the logbook and they say, like, burger, 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 burger. And they look at my first part of life and say, no, you're on the wrong place, burger. Look at the back in the log. And I say, you did toilet for the kids in rural areas, and you made some good for the environment. Welcome. So it's a good feeling to work with this kind of problems but we need all hands on board to make this happen, and especially the SDG goals, because it's far away to reach the goals. But we need new technology, and that's what we think we provide a good alternative to traditional alternatives.
Yes, work is truly, truly inspiring, Berger. Thank you so much. We'll start to wrap up really quickly, but if you want to ask a question and websites, if you want to get in touch, the chat to work out for everyone. So yes, let's work together. Let's continue networking with each other, and coming up with solutions, and doing work, making shit happen, to use Berger's word. So yes, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. This webinar will be recorded and sent to FSMA members shortly. And after 1 month, it will be live on YouTube for everybody to watch. Yes, thank you. I hope that you all have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. And thank you again to Berger for this great presentation. And we look forward to seeing the amazing work you're going to do upcoming. We look forward to the new landing page in January. We're excited to see that and to hear more of your updates. And I want to reach out to the community here with us today. If you want to host a spotlight session with us in the first quarter of next year, please do get in touch with any ideas. If there's like a particular project you want to highlight or anything, please do get in touch. I will leave my email in the chat box. Yeah, we would love to hear what's happening with everybody, because there's so many things happening. And so it's good that we have these webinars to keep in touch and keep up. Yes, thank you, everybody. And yeah, bye-bye. See you.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.